said that?
Yep.
What a guy. Frank Gehry. He's a pretty old guy. 89. That's an achievement. And still alive. Also an achievement. An architect and still constructing buildings to this day. If you ever see this man, you should give him a pat on the back. He deserves it. Also, he's got a couple other achievements.
Born in Toronto, Canada, under the surname of Goldberg, he was a very creative young individual, building all sorts of homes, cities, and such with unconventional materials from his grandfather's hardware store.
Gehry, or Goldberg, graduated from the University of Southern California's School of Architecture in 1949, also changing his surname from Goldberg to Gehry to avoid anti-Semitism present at the time.
Gehry later moved to Massachusetts with his wife and 2 children in 1956 to enroll in Harvard's Graduate School for Architecture and Design. Only until he ended up dropping out of Harvard and divorcing his wife.
But don't worry, 19 years later he would marry his current wife, Berta Isabel Aguilera, and have 2 kids with her and live happily ever after, blah blah blah.
While doing little furniture design projects here and there, Gehry's heart still lies with architecture. After remodeling the family house in Santa Monica to resemble a deconstructivist work of art, his reputation gained speed, propelling his career into architecture. In the 1980s, Frank was frequently designing homes throughout all of SoCal.
And then came the big boys. Gehry constructs the Walt Disney Concert Hall in downtown Los Angeles and the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, Spain. Each building has become a tourist attraction in its own right and is the epiphany of Frank Gehry's creative imagination.
The Guggenheim Museum in particular began construction in 1993 and was completed in 1997 after museum director Thomas Krenz convinced Spain to fund the new structure in an attempt to modernize and renew the industrial city of Bilbao.
Made out of titanium, limestone, and glass, the building takes on a somewhat surreal form and is a massive symbol for deconstructivism. Almost immediately after it opened, it became a popular tourist attraction.
Gehry seemed to have a common theme of placing buildings next to rivers for some reason. And since it was built next to a river, the structure as a whole resembles a boat, referencing the city of Bilbao's past as a commercial shipping center.
Regardless of its location, his museum resembles something seen in Italian Baroque art.
Using a computer software program called CATIA, Gehry was able to design all those crazy waves and curving forms prominent in the Italian Baroque period.
Fixing clips create a shallow central dent in each of the titanium tiles on the exterior of the structure. This creates an iridescent effect, making the surface of the museum shimmer and ripple within changing light.
Because of the asymmetrical appearance of the external walls, there was almost no hint of the interior spaces of the museum.
Speaking of interiors, the museum's interior is similar to the outside, with undulating lines and a variety of curves and waves.
Visitors that walk inside stand in the heart of the museum, its atrium. It is here that visitors catch their first look at the organization of the museum. Divided into 3 stories, each floor has a number of galleries and are connected by curving hallways.
The atrium also has a clever composition of titanium, glass elevators, and staircases, all within either irregular organic shapes or in classical straight-edged forms.
They even have an office building within the museum, although that won't have any works of art within it.
The museum also has a 300-seat theater called the Zero Espacio... What? Called the Zero Espazio. Espazio. No. The museum also has a 300-seat theater called the Zero Espazioa, and I know I'm saying that wrong.
As well as 2 restaurants and a cafeteria. Why have a cafeteria when you already have restaurants?
The museum also houses over 100 exhibitions and... Wait a minute. Is that a spider?
Yes, it's a really cool work of art called Mammon, in which the artist wished to imply...
There's a spider in the front yard!
Yeah, moving on.
Right, Gehry's house, which is really cool because it's got a freaking cube in the middle of the yard!
But that's not a cube.
Fun fact, the house was located in Santa Monica, California, and was a Dutch colonial home at first.
Until Gehry decided to renovate the house using deconstructivism as the main aesthetic, similar to the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao.
He actually just built around the original house, constructed chain link fencing around the structure, and redesigned the interior of both houses.
The neighbors absolutely hated it. But that didn't stop Gehry, who expanded the house further after having 2 sons.
Here was Frank's inspiration in his own words. I loved the idea of leaving the house intact. I came up with the idea of building the new house around it. We were told there were ghosts in the house. I decided they were ghosts of cubism.
The windows, I wanted to make them look like they were crawling out of this thing. At night, because the glass is tipped, it mirrors the light in, so when you're sitting at this table,
You see all the cars going by. You see the moon in the wrong place. The moon is over there, but it reflects here, and you think it's up there, and you don't know where the hell you are.
Frank went on to build a ton of amazing buildings throughout the world, and is currently working on Guggenheim 2.0 in Abu Dhabi.
Why can't this one already be built so we can do that for our project?
We were until we found out that it hasn't been constructed yet.
In his recent years, Frank has been a professor of architecture at several colleges, including the University of Southern California.
In 1989, Gehry was awarded the Pritzker Prize, which is an annual award that honors a living architect whose built work demonstrates a combination of those qualities of talent, vision, and commitment, which has produced consistent and significant contributions to humanity and the built environment through the art of architecture.
In 2016, Gehry was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama.
Because of his celebrity status, Gehry has been referred to as a star-architect, but has refused the title, preferring to stay an architect. He's also voice acted for his character on The Simpsons, and there was a documentary filmed about his work and legacy in 2005.
Right, well, that's all we got.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
No.